Welcome to one of those, the show that explores the art of sneaker culture. I'm your host, Adam Butler, back with another episode. Thank you so kindly for being here. Yo, as always, I've got an exciting show for you guys today and a really cool guest. I can't wait to introduce my man in a few, but you know what we got to do before we get into it, man. I got to tell you about the Up On Game Network and how we're doing big things. By the way, shouts out to my man LeVar, the boss man. He got enshrined into the College Football Hall of Fame. Shouts out to Penn State. Shouts out to VAR, man. Hey, look, he played for my hometown team for years. I was a big fan, man. I just want to say big shout outs to you, big bro. You're doing your thing, man. Much deserved, all right? Now, we got that out the way. Now I need to tell you to go ahead and follow the team, all right? Follow the team. Follow us on YouTube. The Up On Game Network presents, and also follow us on iHeartRadio. Check out all the podcasts. Check out all the video. We're doing big things. It's not just me. It's a whole squadron of folks, including LeVar, doing dope things. So go ahead and subscribe and get that algorithm popping so we can be in your eye line. You know what I'm saying? So we can be in your face and you can keep up with all of the content. So, okay, listen, I know we've been talking about Ye, whatever you want to call him, Kanye, Yeezy, Ye, whatever. I know we've been talking about him a lot. I understand that, but it is big news for the sneaker industry. So we're going to talk less about Kanye and the antics and stuff like that and talk more about the business, especially for Adidas. What does this mean for Adidas? We've been talking about this a lot when it comes to Ye, and what does it mean for Ye, and how is the things going to work out for Kanye? What about Adidas? You know, we could downplay this and we can, you know, depending on where you land with Kanye and all that and how you may want it to be, the fact of the matter is they lost their biggest star. This would be like Nike losing Jordan. Now, Nike doesn't disappear if they don't have Jordan brand, but they take a significant hit. And it's the same thing for Adidas. Adidas is not going to disappear. I've said this a million times when it comes to apparel and just normal everyday. I need a shoe. I need track pants. I need a sweatshirt. I need socks. Adidas is going to be fine. People are going to buy Adidas shoes, especially people that just wear shoes. But in the sneaker community, for sneaker heads, and competing with Nike and competing with Jordan brand and competing with up-and-coming brands, even though whether you want to call New Balance an up-and-coming brand, but when it comes to hype culture, New Balance, Asics, competing with these brands, Adidas took a major hit by deciding to let go of Kanye. Again, not talking about the controversy, not talking about what's wrong, what's right, and certainly not talking about my opinion of Kanye West, just talking about the business of it. What will this mean for Adidas? Well, today's guest is, I feel like he's an expert when it comes to hype culture, when it comes to sneaker culture, right? He's one of my OMF fam. He's part of that OMF fam. My man Petey Kerr is on the building. My man Petey Kerr is in the building. He's just well-versed when it comes to these things. He understands sneaker culture. He has a rare knowledge of sneaker culture and hype culture, fashion culture. He understands it from a PR standpoint, and he understands it from a consumer standpoint. He also understands it from a sales standpoint. He's been a reseller, he works in PR, and he is a podcaster and YouTuber over on the OMF app. He understands what's going on, and it's my pleasure to have him on to talk about Ye, what's next for him, and to talk about what's next for Adidas. Let's jump right into it. Pete, family, welcome to the show, brother.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you so much.
Man, listen, we were talking off mic about how we're both DMV dudes and we haven't had an opportunity to, you know, and we both, you know, affiliated with On My Feet and everything. And we haven't had an opportunity to sit down and really rap, man. So it's a pleasure to, like, I guess I should say it's a pleasure to meet you, bro.
Pleasure to meet you, man. And it's crazy because we live like 30, 40 minutes away from each other. We still haven't had that opportunity. But no, pleasure to meet you, man. I love what you're doing with On My Feet. Love the stuff on Up On Game, iHeartRadio. They're like lucky to have you. I love every single episode, man. I love every single episode.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, man. And the audience is going to find out how dope you are right now, man, because you are an expert on all things sneaker culture and fashion culture, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to, and I don't say this as a disrespect, when it comes to like hype culture and things like that, you know what you're talking about. Absolutely. And we've been talking about this Kanye thing on this show for a while now. You know, it is the topic when it comes to sneakers right now. It's unavoidable. I've given my opinion on Ye on this show and on my other show. I've caught some backlash for it, but it is what it is. But I just want to know, not so much. Well, you can tell me what you think about Ye and what's going on, but also what's next for him. You know what I mean? Let's get into
Of
it from
course,
like a sort
yeah,
of a technical standpoint. Like, what's
absolutely.
going to happen with Kanye in regards to sneakers and fashion? Go for it, brother.
And this is so interesting to me because I don't know if everybody knows. So my background, I put myself through undergrad by reselling, right? Whether it was Yeezys, Jordans, Supreme stuff, Off-White, KAWS, collectibles, all of that, right? That's how I put myself through undergrad. After finishing school, like, working in, like, DC, that consulting industry, all of that, eventually I decided to go back to grad school, right? So I'm getting my degree in PR now. So we're really looking at this whole Yeezy thing with a super fine-tooth comb to see everything that's happening, how like Adidas has a crisis communication plan over it, if they're getting rid of Kanye, like the press releases they're dropping, how are they going to give him severance? So in school, we've been talking about all of it. And like, I know you saw my Yeezy video. I wrote a paper about it consistently. And I think it's like really, really interesting for sure, because we know Kanye's outspoken. He's always been outspoken, but I don't think he's really got the blunt edge of like the sword up until now. Right? Like he really hasn't taken an actual hit. He hasn't like started losing real money until right now. And of course, the anti-Semitic comments was a part of it, and like how he's speaking about like the whole Adolf Hitler thing. And he's definitely very, very vocal. So obviously, people are going to have something to say. Now, that given that Adidas, a lot of their like revenue is based off of Yeezy. Like a majority of it, if I'm correct. Sure, there's other Adidas shoes out there, but Adam, you and I are both sneakers. Off the top of your head, can you name 15 Adidas sneakers that aren't Yeezys?
No, I can't name.
I can't
name 15.
I can name maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah,
right? But I can't name anymore. And what Kanye did for Adidas was like bring them back, in my opinion. Like Nike, the gap between Nike and Adidas was huge. And after Kanye got there, it like obviously Nike's still on top, but it like definitely shortened the gap, right? So what's next for Adidas? I'm not sure. We know Jerry Lorenzo is a part of it. There's going to be a Fear of God line with Adidas. Does Jerry Lorenzo have the audience and the stylistic like initiative to like really take a hold of that Kanye power vacuum at Adidas now? Because there is going to be a vacuum. 100% there's a vacuum.
For sure.
But is Jerry Lorenzo going to be able to fill it? That's something we don't know. Who else? Kervin Frost, he's a great Adidas designer. I don't know if he's enough to fill it, but I think what Adidas is doing, their best idea or best game plan going forward is going to be similar to what Crocs has been doing, what New Balance has been doing, what Asics has been doing, and that's to get into the like the fashion space. You're going to start collaborating with artists that maybe aren't huge but have a decent goods. Your Teddy Santis's, so like I'm a Leon Dore, who's like Teddy Santis is the showrunner for. So like bringing in and licensing all of these artists that aren't huge but still have stylistic initiative. They have their own voice, they have their own patterns, and most importantly, they have their own audience and they have their own identity.
Yeah, that's a really great point. That is almost like designer for hire at the like Adidas started off. Yeah, when Ye got there, it was Pharrell, Human Racers.
100%. I can't believe I forgot about Pharrell.
Yeah, and now
Jeremy Scott.
Yes, Jeremy Scott. Like, and so they
can't say nothing about those wings, man.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. And when it started off, I don't think Adidas ever intended. Right, I don't think Adidas ever intended for it to just be, we lean on Kanye. They had, like I said, the Human Racer and the Yeezy in the beginning was just as popular. The Human Racer sort of fell off. Pharrell's still trying to find his way. I do agree with you that.
And the whole problem with that is like Pharrell is definitely trying to find it, but he did exactly what Kanye did. Like a lot of colorways came out, diluted the sneaker. The original Human Race NMD, like 4 or 5 years ago, was the talk of the town.
Yes, it was.
Everybody loved that shoe, and now you never see them out because diluted colorways, they're just not as worth what they used to be. Same with
and that's why I like your idea about designer for hire, and it's not original because it is, again, what New Balance did is what New Balance did to put themselves on the map. Like Joe Freshgoods can do a New Balance and do I'm about to say a Sketcher, could do a not a Sketcher, what is it, a Van, right?
He could do a Van, he could do a Croc, and he could do a New Balance, right?
Exactly.
Because like New Balance realizes that when they have to like sign these people, they need to give them a deal that is going to be like positive for them. That's going to be at their best advantage, right?
Yes.
And Adidas has that clout, so they can tell Kanye, like, look, we're going to give you 100% freedom, total creative control, but you can't go to like New Balance and make a sneaker. You can't go to Crocs.
Right.
You got to keep your slides here. The foam runners need to be here. 700s, 350s, 500s, 750s. They all need to be at Adidas. You can't like walk around, and we're going to give you full creative control. Of course, he said yes. New Balance doesn't have that rapport yet to the point where they could just demand that from Joe Freshgoods or Ken. So they work with what they have, and they've been doing great at it up until now, in my opinion.
And no, I agree with you, and I think that's just the way to go. You know, again, I have been very critical of Kanye and very understanding as to why it ended up this way for Kanye. I've been on record for saying that. However, if you're a creative, you don't want to go out like that, right? You don't want to. You don't want someone to be able to say, yeah, but those designs are mine. You may not want to be here anymore. Again, I don't believe a Joe Freshgoods or Slade Benberry or someone like that would handle it like Kanye did. But let's just say there was a rift between them and New Balance, a rift between them and future with Adidas or whoever, right? You don't want it to be that it's that when the divorce happens that, oh, by the way, you can't work for anyone else. You can't do it, you know what I mean? So I think that the future for Adidas, I wouldn't want to be married to someone the way I was married to Kanye.
Yeah,
it's like you said,
absolutely.
You know, now we're not talking about apparel and soccer gear and stuff like that. Adidas will never collapse as a company, but
again, crisis communication and reputation, right?
Yes,
so they put all of their eggs in one basket, and that basket was Kanye, and Kanye is like, you know, out the door now. Where does that leave Adidas?
Yes, especially for the sneakerhead community, Adidas has fallen off. For the apparel community, for just a regular Joe Blow that goes into Dick's Sporting Goods and just needs a pair of sweatpants, they're fine. But you're right. We're competing with Nike when it comes to Jordan brand, when it comes to hype. We're going to talk about Supreme a little bit later. When it comes to these things, they took a significant hit by losing Kanye West. Like Kanye West or not, they took a significant hit from the hype standpoint. I'm just using that term, people, you know, the audience to understand. Go ahead.
And, you know, like what bugs me too is, and my opinion might not be the most favored one or the most popular one in this specific sense.
It's all good.
Now, everybody's like, oh, those are Kanye's designs. How are you guys going to release the Adi Foam Q? That
we on the
looks
same
like an
page.
Adidas shoe. That looks like a Yeezy shoe, even though it's not. But when it comes to the industry, right, whether it be streetwear, sneakers, anything, right? Like the name of the game is compromise. You give away what you have for something that you want. If Kanye wanted to be a billionaire and he really wanted that big B, he not the M, he wanted the B. You gotta give something up. And what Kanye had to give up was those designs. I understand he came up with them, but if you wanted that bit, like if you want that big B from Adidas, you need to sign over those designs.
That's how it works. And and then the next step you take when you get that big B, like a Tyler Perry, like a Jordan, or someone like, you get an asset that they can't take from you, right?
Absolutely.
You get an asset that you own, right? Tyler Perry has Tyler Perry Studios. You can't take 100%. That. No company's going to take that. Michael 100%. Jordan owns a basketball team. Jay-Z is trying to get into that realm where he owns a sporting agency, but he also is trying to. He's
in cannabis now.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He's in cannabis. He's trying to get to the thing where this is mine. You can't. Kanye's asset was his name. Adidas signed him. Now, mind you, he has designed. I'm not saying he doesn't design. He does design the sneakers, but also his name. And also one thing I tried to point out to people before we move on to the Kanye thing and get into some of the releases, because I like talking to you about this stuff too. The thing about those designs is the technology that's in the sneaker as well that matters, right? That the boost technology is what make, like, you know, the Kanye is visually appealing. I mean, the Yeezy is visually appealing, but also it's comfortable because of Adidas technology. So it was.
And that's such a great fact you bring up, Adam, because, like, of course, the Yeezy 350, one of the most comfortable sneakers ever. That is not a secret. Everybody's going to tell you that, right? But the 350 ran because the Ultra Boost walked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, without the Ultra Boost, there's no soul in that 350. So, like, that's something that Adidas was able to do for Kanye, and he used that to their advantage. But also, to Kanye's credit, Adidas wasn't able to come up with the 350. They came up with the Ultra Boost. The 350 is what made them like all of their money. Nobody's wearing Ultra Boost anymore. I wear Ultra Boost, but nobody else is wearing Ultra Boost.
It's not a hyped up sneaker anymore. It's not a popular sneaker. Yeah.
Where is it? Hold on.
What you got back there, bro?
When this came out,
I love
this was a $700 shoe.
It was all
3M, like it shines like Billie Jean.
Yeah,
right? $700 shoe.
Yeah,
right? They started re-releasing them. This doesn't go for $120 anymore. Like 140, 150 bucks tops. And that's the and the exact same thing with this now. We're talking about.
Yeah.
Like what the heck happened to this guy?
Yeah.
Chance the Rapper wore these on Saturday Night Live. They were going for $1,000.
Yeah.
And now you can get a pair for $30 over retail.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Diluting the market is serious.
Yeah, that's a very important thing, man. And we talk about this often, like when we talk about just the transition about like hype going down, right? The resale starting to go down. And I've had a bunch of people on this show to really try to like talk about and figure it out. I like to know your opinion because you talked about oversaturation, and I think that's a great point. We are starting to see the prices for real. Before this Yeezy thing really happened, before he anti-Semitic comments and the George Floyd stuff and all that, the Yeezy was starting to level out anyway. You just mentioned it with the Wave
100%.
Runner, right? Why do you think it's just oversaturation that's happening, like with the Jordan 1, with the Yeezy, with the hyped up brands that we used to, I did a video, bro, about those taxi ones. And I made a point that if that sneaker would have came out like in 2018, 2019, that would have been a $700 sneaker. People 100%. Were that hyped about it. Now you can get it for $30, which is good. I love that, but the hype is going down. Just give me your thoughts on that.
So I feel like there's a lot of things that are accountable for it, right? Oversaturation, of course, diluting the market, of course, releasing 100 colorways of a 350, of course, but it really goes down to quality also, right? The analog 700 is not as good as the Wave Runner 700, right? You could this was a winner when it came out. Everybody went crazy for it. Was there a lot of debate? Is it cool? Was it different? 100%. But this was a winner when it came out. Now he released the Vanta 700, the analog 700. There was other 700 V1s, but nothing hit quite like this one. And I'll say the exact same thing about the 350, right? The 350 V1, the Moon Rocks, Pirate Blacks, Turtle Doves, those were all winners, right? Down to the point where when he re-released the Turtle Dove a couple months ago, that's still sitting pretty at a $400 or $500 sneaker, right? Because people realize A, that's quality, and B, that's design, that's color, it's a good looking shoe.
Yeah.
Now, when you dilute the market and start releasing all these 350 V2s, like 9 different colorways, but they're all like a different hue of beige, and you start releasing these MX colorways and they have like all this graffiti on them and everything, are like people gonna buy them? Sure, because they're easy. But when it comes to tastemakers and hypebees who don't need to buy everything that comes out, that only really want to buy what they identify with, that's not going to sell to them. And those are the guys that decide what resale value is. Adidas doesn't pick resale value. Nike doesn't pick resale value. You and I pick resale value.
Facts.
This sneaker is only worth as much as me or you are willing to pay for it. It is not worth $1 more than what somebody's willing to pay for it.
Facts, bro.
And
facts.
And that's just how I've always looked at it. So dilution's of course part of it, but it's the release of colorways and the quality of colorways. The amount of quality control and the amount of time that Adidas was spending on their 2015, 2016 Yeezy design is nowhere near what they're spending on their 2022 designs, right? And you can tell the difference. Every single 750 that came out, that 750 boot was a hit. Every single one. People were lining up a day, 2 days beforehand. Every single one. Now you release a brand new 350 colorway, 350 V2 colorway, and show me 10 people who are going to get in line for it.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. The only people that were getting in line for it for a while were people that were hoping they can grab something and hoping the resale would go up. So you had that, a lot of people just buying stuff up and hoarding them, hoping maybe this will jump up. But now I think people are past that at this point.
And again, that's a complete gamble. And the only other people that were doing it are 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds that are first getting into the sneaker game.
Yeah.
Easy, right? They're not making any money yet. So I 100% think Adidas, it should be spotlighting that demographic, spotlighting that audience, and releasing something for them. But when it comes down to their reputation and their identity, half-assing is not going to help anybody.
Yo, I love that perspective, man. I really appreciate that one. I before I let you go, brother, and I'm gonna have we're gonna do this again. We got to do
Cool.
this again,
Whenever you
bro.
want, bro. Whenever you
Yeah,
want.
but
Next time in
before,
person.
yeah, that young. So we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk because, but before I let you go, you are, big on Supreme. You're big on some of the like more like luxury, not even just clothing, and not even like sneaker collabs, but like clothing collabs. I
Right.
really love watching your perspective on what's going on with Supreme, what's going on with car, like bigger, like, and I always talk about this, the subtitle of the show is the art of sneaker culture. And I always say to people like, yo, this stuff is wearable art. That's the beautiful thing about it.
100%. And that's like the best way to look at it also.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got into the game because of sneakers, right? I remember like I was 15, 16. I was wearing Team Jordans and Air Force Ones. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Finally made some money, got some retros,
Mm-hmm.
got some Yeezys. And that's when my like sneaker collection really started building.
Yeah.
Like about a year or two after collecting sneakers, I discovered Supreme,
Yeah.
Bathing Game, Kith, Palace, all of these like streetwear brands that are basically sneakers, but like, you're wearing it, right?
Yeah.
Selling out just like a shoe would, but like it's a garment, you're wearing it.
Right.
So Supreme was definitely one of the first, like definitely like over half, like all my books tuition wise got paid for the Supreme. I
love it.
can confidently say that.
Yeah.
It's definitely changed a little bit since like, they've sold the company now to VF Corp. So like there's a whole the same entity that owns North Face and Timberland also owns Supreme now, which also helps for like collaborations because they're much more of a community-based collaboration now.
Yeah.
Like one company owns both of the brands, so it's way easier to green light stuff and everything, which is great. I'm very happy about that. And then, Angelo Bach leaving, Tremaine Emery becoming their new creative director. Right. So we're really seeing the shift from Supreme into more like contemporary releases, which I also love to see. But also a lot of dilution. They're releasing more stuff, oversaturating the market. Yeah. Back in the day, a week one Supreme release, the first week they come back from their break, it'll sell out within 30, 45 seconds, like the entire release will. Yeah. Now you'll see items sit for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And I wouldn't be surprised if 4 years from now they're sitting for 10 minutes, 12, 15. It's just how like the demographics changing, how people are changing, and the more brands that are out there now. Yeah. Like 10 years ago, there was just Supreme and like 4 other brands. Now there's 15, 20 brands out there just as amazing as the next, like just as great of a contemporary design, just as much of a design identity as the next. So a lot of people have a lot more choices. Tremaine Emery, who's the new creative director, is doing fantastic for Supreme. I think they're releasing this week is an Air Max 98. It's a TL, so it's like different than the average Air Max 98. I believe they first released one in like 2015, so this is going to be like, an update to that. 4 colorways, really cool. When it comes to resale, I can't confidently tell you, Adam, how it's going to do. Just because it's not 2015 anymore. Those 2015 Air Supreme Air Maxes are reselling for like $700-800. Yeah. If this one does like 350-ish, I'll be pretty happy about it. I'll be pretty. Right. Like, I love what they're doing. Definitely different, but contemporary for sure. And they definitely have a new design identity with their new creative director. So a shift like that every couple of years is great because it gives us less of the same and more of something different.
I love it, man. I love it. Your wealth of knowledge, bro. Let the people know where they can find you and what you got coming up next, man.
Petey Kerr on Instagram, PeteyKerr. Definitely follow me on TikTok as well. We're both On My Feet people, so I'm always dropping content on My Feet. Definitely follow the On My Feet app, the On My Feet network, get the app, all of that. But just dropping content, sneaker content, fashion forward content with a little mix and with a focus on PR and content strategy, because that's what I'm in school for. That's my graduate degree. That's the 9 to 5. Yeah. So that's definitely my info. Adam, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. We got to do this again, man.
We're going to do this again, bro. I really appreciate it, man. You're one of the more fun guests to talk to, man, and one of the more knowledgeable guests to talk to. So we definitely gonna have you back, brother.
And I want to thank you for the podcast in general. You're definitely filling a need, my man. People need this podcast. People need an open and long form forum to be able to talk about this and to be able to listen in. I feel like not only are we doing a service, but we're giving an education out, and like that's what On My Feet's always been about. Shout out to On My Feet, Up on Game, iHeartRadio. Really appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right, take it easy, bro.
All right, bro. Big shout out to my man Petey, man. I told you he was smart, man. That's a smart dude. I'm very, very happy to have him on, man. And I'm actually looking forward to that Supreme drop. I haven't bought anything Supreme in a very long time, but that Supreme Air Max, it sounds kind of cool. I think I'm gonna go ahead and jump on that one, man. So I'll let you guys know if I do cop that, man. But again, like I said in the beginning of the show, it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with Adidas. If you're into the business, if you're into sneakers like that, again, we've been hyper focused on Kanye, and, Kanye tends to get that attention. That's just how he is, right? But when you think about the business of Adidas, a lot of people I don't think anybody's really talked about what's going to happen with Adidas. So I'll be looking forward to see what their next step is, who they work with. Will they take Petey's, advice and get, designer for hire, man? I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. All right. But again, big shout outs to Petey. Follow him, man. He's super dope dude with super dope content. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys are amazing. Always thank you so much for supporting the show, joining the show, tuning into this show. You guys are incredibly dope and incredibly gracious, man. And please continue to do so. All right, follow me, MSR_Adam, MSR_Adam. That is my Instagram. That is my Twitter. MSR_Adam. On my Instagram, there's a link tree. You can listen to the show. You can listen to the Butler Did It show. And you can find my TikTok, which is the Butler Did It podcast. The Butler Did It podcast. But again, I got a link tree on my Twitter and on my Instagram where you can follow me and follow everything I'm doing. All right. I really appreciate you guys. Follow the Up On Game Network. Like I said earlier in the show, big things going on over at the Up On Game Network. Follow the On My Feet Network. Big things going on over there, including my man Petey. Shouts out to Dustin. Shouts out to AJ and the whole crew. Good people over there, man. Follow them. They got some really they easy. Everybody over there, man. Really cool folks over there doing really cool things. I'm happy to be associated with them as well. All right. As I always say at the end of all of these shows, mind your mental health, people. Mind your mental health is vitally important, okay? Mind your physical health. It is vitally important. And never, ever, ever forget. And please continue. Be great. I'm up out of here.